We are also tracking a developing story tonight on a campaign with the potential to have a major impact on our elections. So far, nearly a dozen states have signed on to a plan to effectively ditch the Electoral College. They instead want to award the White House to whoever wins the popular vote. That would have given us a President Gore. While it might seem harmless, critics suggest this not only circumvents the Constitution, but it is a plan ripe for voter fraud. Chris Direwalt is our Fox News digital politics editor and happens to be part of our decision desk. And so he knows all about how this works, not to mention a student of history. So, Chris, I think most people hear Electoral College are like, wait, that's something like a bunch of like people who wore wigs came up with. I don't understand it. I don't know. Why do I care?
They care because 270 is the magic number. You got to get 270 Electoral College votes to win. What that means is, you said it would have given us President Gore. It would have given us a whole different trajectory of presidents, because the way you run for president and the way you seek office, the framers, the founders, empowered the states, not the popular vote. They said, you got to go and get the states on your side, the residents of these states on your side, which means you run for president completely differently than you would if you were just trying to run up the score.
If it was just the popular vote, then these candidates would be going to California, they'd be going to New York, they'd probably still be going down to Florida, but they might be blowing off the smaller states.
They wouldn't just be blowing off the smaller states, they'd be blowing off the smaller communities and the larger states. So the presidential election would be contested in New York, Chicago, LA, Houston, Miami, Philadelphia, and the farther down the major center of population list you go, the less influence those places have. But also, it tells you what kind of candidates, what kind of parties, and what kind of campaigns you'd get. They'd be focused on maximizing turnout in urban centers. That means that you would have not just a President Gore, but you probably would have never had a Vice President Gore, because you never would have had a Bill Clinton, because we would have had much more liberal urban presidents. You wouldn't have had some guy from Arkansas coming in. You would have had the center of power in this country in liberal, democratic bastions in places like New York City.
It's basically like Philly, New York City, LA, San Francisco. Those are the places that are going to elect the president if we move to a popular vote. Now, this is clearly not what the founders intended. There was a long debate about this in the Federalist Papers. Should we have a popular vote? The answer was no. They did not think that was the best way. They thought the Electoral College worked better. Make the candidates campaign in this certain way and then have mostly a winner takes all. So in other words, Ohio gives all of its electoral votes to the person who's won the popular vote in that state. But let me ask you this. These states, these 11 states that have so far signed on to this, what impact does that have? Because we've had, after Bush, after Gore lost, there was a push, let's get rid of the Electoral College. But to do that, you have to amend the Constitution. They seem to be finding a secret option number 2.
It's a hack. They're going to hack the Constitution. That's their plan, is to subvert the will of the Constitution and the founders, the framers, by banding together and saying, we have, if they can get to 270 electoral votes, they'll say, we have enough that we will give our electoral votes to whoever wins the popular votes, effectively defeating the Constitution. And it's part of a trend, Counselor, if I may submit, which is happening in the left today, which is as liberals are increasingly frustrated by the fact that they are not able to affect the changes that they want, they are simply taking them. They're simply doing it. And if people dissent, and if people complain, and if stodgy old Constitution gets in the way, if the fussy old Whigs in the Electoral College complain about it, too bad, because they're going to hack the code and they're going to find a way to get what they want, and it's a growing trend among these folks.
Is this possible? I mean, apparently these 11 states have a total of 165 Electoral College votes. They got to get to 270 to do an end around the Constitution here, which obviously would require a lot more if you wanted to. You have to get supermajority votes in Congress. You have to have the states ratify it and so on if you want to amend the Constitution. But are they likely to get from 165 electoral votes to 270 and actually do this end around the Constitution?
As they get closer to their goal, whoever's pushing this movement will find that people will realize the deadly gravity of what is being proposed and how this will forever change the way America works and the American politics work, forever change the parties, and forever shift the balance of power away from the country people and to the city people. This is disempowering to rural America and empowering to urban America. As that catches on, as that dawns on people, I think their plan to hack the Constitution this way and slip in probably evaporates. but you never know, because it sounds good on the surface, doesn't it? You say, well, the winner of the popular vote should win. Don't we like democracy? But this isn't a democracy. This is a republic.
Wow, exactly right. Chris, good to see you.